Okay, this page is ugly. This is in my art journal, and I tried something a long time ago with this page where I had some of these little, I was playing around with die cuts and things, and I threw them down on here, glued it all down, threw some paint on it. This was early in doing art journal pages, and I've just always hated it. It's just ugly. So recently I've been reading some art journaling books and looking at some art journaling videos, and they're talking about covering up your mistakes if you don't like something. And one of the methods they use is basically paint over it with some watered down gesso. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm documenting this, video documenting it, to see my process and see how I transform this very ugly page, and I'm hoping into something much nicer. It's an experiment. I may just make it even uglier. Don't think it could be even uglier. So in here I have some gesso with a little water to make sort of a wash, and I'm just going to paint all over it. Actually, that's not as watery as I thought it would be, but that's okay. I'm just going to paint over it. I kind of want it, I thought maybe some of this background to peek through the gesso. They talk about that as being a unifying technique too, to tie elements together. You know, some things are brighter than others. You can use the gesso to kind of even it out. I don't know. We'll see. And we're going to get some over here on this page as well. Yeah, it's looking better already because I can't see it, basically. More down here. I certainly have texture in this already because of those die cuts that I glued on here. They're kind of making some texture on the page. Okay. So I've got my gesso on here, and I'm going to stop the video now and let this dry. Okay, so now this is dry, the gesso's dry on it, and you can see stuff peeking out from it. That's fine. But I do notice that I've got this texture from the die cuts that I put on it. So I'm thinking maybe I'll add more texture to it. And I don't know what colors I want to use or anything yet, so I think I'm going to use this stencil. And I'm just going to put down some more texture. I'm going to leave it white, and I'm going to use, I looked at my stash of stuff, and I have this stuff called fiber paste. So it says it's a flexible film with handmade paper appearance. So I'm going to spread that through my stencil over top of what's already there as texture and see what it's going to do. What I like to do with stencils is I like to take some repositionable spray and give them a little spray on the back. I'll do this off camera, because it kind of holds it down in place a little better, I find, when you're spreading on whatever. So I'm just going to get some of this, and I'm not going to worry about, oops, there's a little piece coming up. I'm not going to worry about trying to be really neat about this and cover every area. I'm just doing it in spots. I'm not putting it on very thick, because there's already some texture here, so okay. And let's move the stencil. Let's put some down here. Now, I'm going to have to let this dry as well. I'm going to try and hit it with some heat from my heat gun. I don't know how this stuff will take to that. It might make it bubble, so I'll have to be careful and try that out. Yeah, let's put some over here. Actually, I don't know if this is showing up very well on the camera, but I'm kind of liking the pattern that this stencil is leaving behind with the paste. You can see it up in here. And there goes my email. And maybe we'll put a little down here. kind of applying it over top of the raised parts that were created by the die cuts from the old page. There's a die cut there. I'm just going to put just a little bit there too. Let's see, is that enough? Put a little over here. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Yeah, there's a little spot over here I think I want to get. And I'm going to do a little spot up here too, because these are spots where I'm seeing the die cuts peeking through, and I'm kind of trying to blend them in as part of the texture in the background. Any place else? Okay, I see here I got a big gob. Take some of that off. Any other big gobs? Okay, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to try and apply some heat to it to speed up the process, see how that works. I'll let you know when I come back and figure out what I'm going to do next. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes and this is now pretty much dry, but I did put the heat gun to it and it seemed to dry okay with the heat gun. Although some of the spots that are a little bit thicker I noticed are still a little squishy, but I'm not going to let that bother me. Okay, but any place where the stuff was on relatively thin, it dried quite quick. And the texture of this is it's like very coarse paper now is what it feels like. Now you can see some of my color from the old page is leaking through, and that's fine. But there's one little thing I just saw that gave me an idea, and I don't know if this is going to work or not. Right here on this spot, there's a little piece of a fiber. I'm not sure where this came from. It wasn't there when I did notice it when I was laying down the fiber paste, but there's this little fiber, and I didn't pick it out when I was drawing it because I really didn't notice it. But this made me think, another level of texture on here. Maybe add some fiber. And in this case, I'm going to take some string, a length of butcher twine, and I've got in this cup something called Fluid Matte Medium. So it's a very runny medium. And I'm just going to dunk my string in there. Let me get a paintbrush. And I'm just putting it in, see, I just have it in here, and I'm just mucking it about to getting it coated in this fluid matte media stuff. And then my idea here is I'm going to take this string out, and I'm just going to kind of drape it on the page and let it go where it may. I cut about, 3 feet maybe of this, so I'm just letting it fall kind of much wherever it wants to, and I'm just going to pat it down to make sure it makes contact with the surface here and sticks. I may have to after this dries, I may have to go over it with a little bit of more of this fluid matte medium just to make sure it's glued down here well. Okay, so there's one. And I've got a second piece of string right here, so I'm going to put it in. It's kind of a messy process, as you can see. Trying to get this string all in there. Mixing it around to coat the string well. Okay, now let's see if I can find the end of it. Okay, there's no avoiding it. I have to get my hands in there, so, well, that's okay. Ooh, there we go. Did I get a knot in it? No, good. Okay. Same thing, just randomly. Ooh, I do have a knot. I'm going to leave the knot. See what happens. And I'm just pulling it around, and okay, same things I did last time, just getting it to, I hope this is going to stick. Okay, I'm just going to leave that for now. Put this to the side because I may want to brush it on later. I'm going to let this dry. Again, I'm going to apply some heat to it and see what happens with that, see if I can speed up the process, and wash my hands because I'm now covered in glue. So I'll be back. Okay, so now my string is dry, and I used heat on it again, and that seemed to work okay. This took a little longer. I've been doing this for about 20 minutes. But in the meantime, I also put another coat of the fluid matte medium all along the string just to make it really stiff and to make sure it's stuck down. You can see there's a couple of areas where I got a little bit too much on there, and they've sort of, well, they've got a shine to them. Now, I'm going to cover up my keyboard. You can't see that. That's what I'm watching myself on my computer over here, because I'm going to try some sprays. And I have these sprays. I haven't used them in a while, so I'm hoping they'll still work. They're called Irresistible, and they're by Imagine Crafts. I got these some time ago because they're a colored texture spray, and I like the colors. They come in quite a few colors. But when they dry, they actually add texture, and I have now decided that this whole piece is now all about creating texture in different ways. So I create texture with fiber paste, I've created texture with my string and fluid matte medium, and now I'm going to try it with the Irresistible sprays. Now these sprays, I've covered my area here with some protective paper because, you know, when you use spray, you can't control where it's going to go. That's why I've covered up my keyboard as well here on my computer. And I'm not sure if the fluid matte medium here is going to act as a resist or not. It might. So I've got a little damp cloth, damp paper towel over here to sort of mop up any kind of pooling if I get that. So I guess I'll start with the yellow. And the reason I picked yellow and blue is because there's some yellow peeking through here, and there is some blue peeking through, so I thought, well, let's carry on with that color scheme. So here goes. The yellow first. It's not really spraying. I think my nozzle's a little clogged up, but that's okay. We'll work with it. It doesn't seem to be resisting it. So that's good, because I'm pretty sure if I used regular gel matte medium, it would act as a resist. I think I'll put a little more yellow on it over here. Now, as I said, when this stuff dries, you get a light texture effect from it too. It's more something you can feel than see. Okay, let's give a little shot of blue. And my blue is not, ooh, this is kind of neat though. It's not really spraying because it's a little bit clogged up, but I'm kind of liking this, these blotches. Oh, spray's starting to happen now. But I kind of like those blotches on it. My problem is I never know when to quit when I get spraying stuff. Okay, I'm going to quit. Now, of course, the yellow and the blue, when they come into contact with each other, they create green. So I've got really three colors on here right now. The string's very visible still, and that's fine. So, but that old background I had in here is disappearing very quickly. So I'm going to let this dry, and I know I can apply heat to this. So then I'll come back with, see what I'm going to do next. Maybe something with acrylic paint. Okay, so now my Irresistible sprays are dry. They took a little longer. I let it air dry for about 15 minutes, and for about another 5 minutes I hit it with a heat dryer just because I'm impatient. But it dries relatively fast. The parts that were a little heavier with these blotches took a little longer. And it's still slightly sticky, but I'm not going to worry about that. So now I'm going to add some more color to it. And Irresistibles is called Irresistibles because it acts as a resist. So I'm not sure how this is going to work. But I found myself a piece of bubble wrap. And I'm going to get out my Delusions paint, and I'm using the red in the Delusions paint. And I'm just going to take a little of this on a paintbrush, and I'm just going to put it all over my bubble wrap. And I'm going to use this like a stamp and see what happens. Try that much first and see how this works out. Schmuck it in. Ooh, that's kind of cool. See if I can get a little bit more off. Oh, yeah, I'm kind of liking that. Oops. Well, that's okay. Actually, schmucking it like that's kind of interesting effect as well. So I'll just put a little splash there, maybe a little splash there, or there. You know, I get started on this stuff, and I don't know when to stop. I really don't. But you can see that paint's gone a long way because I only put a little on. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop there. Okay. What do I want to do next? I'm not sure what I want to do next, so I'll come back. Okay, my paint's dried, and again I hit it with some heat gun, or with the heat gun again, and I did notice that in certain spots where the paint was a little bit heavier and where it was on some of that irresistible spray, it took a little longer to dry. And in fact, in one spot, this spot right up in here, I used a damp paper towel and blotted up a little bit to get it to dry faster. Then the string is kind of disappearing into the background because it's white and it's got other stuff on it, so I thought I kind of like that to be a focal point. So I've added some color to it, and I'm using one of these Zig Color real brush markers. These have a brush tip to them. This is black, and I'm kind of going around the edges of the string, and I'm just doing it sort of sketchy. I'm not that concerned about getting color all over the string. I'm just going around very loosely, following the path of the string itself. I did the other page off camera, and now I'm letting you see what I did with that page by doing this. And it's kind of messy. I'm not really too worried about that, and I'm not that worried about solid lines either with it. I'm just seeing what's happening, and I'm doing it on both sides of the string, and I'm surprised that this isn't acting more like being resisted by what I've already put down, but it doesn't seem to be for that much. Actually, it's kind of fun. But I'm just giving it little brush strokes around. Now, some of it seems to be sort of melting into the other materials that I've used on this page. Giving it maybe a little shadow effect here. Of course, where I hit basic paper, it tends to be a little darker. Can you hear? I don't know if you can. The camera's probably not picking it up. There's a kind of a little crunchy sound here because of all the texture on this page, which it's very tactile. You could feel this page, and you'll feel the various textures that from the sprays and everything that I've used. Okay, how's that? Now again, I'm just going to go away and let this dry, and well, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I want to add to it. That's another thing about art journaling. When do you stop? So I'm going to stop for a minute though, and I'll be back. Okay, so this is pretty much dry. The string as it dry, the black brush one kind of melted into the background a little bit more, so it's not as bold in some spots. And I'm still not quite sure if it's really drying all that well, but I'm pressing on here anyways, and I decided to add some little stamped butterflies, and I wasn't sure if this was going to resist the ink I'm using. I'm just using a pigment ink, an archival ink actually, from Ranger, and I'm just randomly dotting it with these little butterflies. Just using them to break up some of the areas. I'm not really thinking about this. One more somewhere. How about one right there? Okay. Okay, so kind of liking that. I don't know, it needs something else to make it stand out. I'm wondering if I should put some sort of a border or the way around it, maybe in white, that kind of thing. Let's see, what could I use? I've got a white paint pen. Well, it's not really a white paint pen. It's just a marker. Actually, though, a paint pen might be the better idea. And I think I've got a white paint pen somewhere. Let me find it, then I'll... Okay, so I found my white paint pen, and I've already gone around the perimeter of both pages with it, and I'm just sort of smearing it on. I'm not trying to create really straight lines. I'm doing it as a second coat though here, because it seems to be kind of, as it dries, kind of absorbing into this. I kind of want something that definitely looks like a border treatment. So I'm going over it a couple of times. So we're just going around here. Okay, well that kind of gives it some edges. I don't know if I need anything else now or not. Maybe. I think I still need more white on this. Maybe I should do a little splattering technique with some white paint. Maybe I'll use the illusions because it's pretty runny. So I'm going to come back with that. Paint here, and I've got a paintbrush, and I've got another one for tapping it off, so this could get messy. So load up my brush. Oops. Could get a little messy. Yeah, I don't know where that went. Ooh, shit. Shoot, I mean. Pardon my language. Kind of liking this though. Let me try just... Ooh, that's okay. I'm trying to keep it off my shirt though. Shoot. Good thing I covered up my keyboard. That seems to work a little better. A little bit more control. What you need is a room covered in plastic, and then you just stand back and fling it. Now, some of these blobs are kind of thick, but I'm going to leave them like that because it's all about texture. I'm finding on this. I am loving this. This is just what this piece needed. Okay. I need more on this page. Okay, time to stop. Okay, I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll come back with the final shot. Okay, I'm done this piece now. I'm just going to let that paint that's sitting there dry naturally by itself. It'll probably take, it's going to take several hours probably for that. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm not going to touch it anymore. But if you remember what my page looked like originally and what I have here, at least I think this is much better. And really, I did it all by creating texture. So that's what I'm going to call it. It's all about texture. There, it's named. So that was my process on how to redo an art journal page that you hate. So yeah, you can. Don't be afraid. If you hate it, paint over it and do something else. Until next time, bye-bye.